Hello, guys. It won't be long. Maybe tomorrow morning or tonight I'll have episode 14 of my Applecast posted, and I'll be covering all the top stories, but there's about 5 or 6 stories I want to go over in a video. And let's start with this one. Google's Nexus 1. World changer or just a bad idea? And this just to me is another attempt of Google to dominate the internet economy, the mobile economy. Now they're coming out with their own handset, and they're going to use VoIP via Google Voice, which means they're going to be able to bypass phone carriers altogether because they can offer it over Wi-Fi or 3G. So now they can start offering phones without a mobile plan, with just a data rate plan, because VoIP is over the internet. It's considered, using data instead of actually having long distance charges and roaming charges and an actual calling plan. Instead, you use VoIP, don't have a calling plan, and just pay for data. That's their idea. And I hope they step on the toes of some 800-pound gorillas in the wireless market and stuff, and I hope that they get took to the cleaners. It seems like every time I turn around, this, Google's doing this now, and Google's making this now. Now they're trying to start manufacturing their own hardware. I mean, they've latched on to Apple's business model, I guess, and they see the things they're doing right, and they're trying to do some of the things Apple's doing. I mean, for God's sake, if you're going to come out with an Android phone, you got to make it look like the iPhone. Can't you have something original? I mean, if you look real close at this picture, the person taking the picture of the Droid here, or the Google phone, is using an iPhone to take the picture. It's a white iPhone. That's funny, isn't it? So once again, Google clamoring to get into a market that it just don't belong. FTC wants Intel to repent. Ooh, this is big news. Now that Intel's wanting to start putting GPUs inside the CPU itself, we're having problems here. We're talking, Intel is getting worried because GPUs are being used more and more here lately, and will be used more and more to do actual computing with. And it's encroaching on Intel's market, and they don't like it. And now that they've started putting actual integrated graphics sets in their CPU made by them, that totally cuts NVIDIA and ATI out. See, Intel don't want graphics cards doing computing jobs. That's Intel's jobs. And if you can get GPUs to do it, you can cut Intel out of a market completely eventually in the future, depending on how the technology goes. And the FTC has gotten on to Intel because they've been doing things that are shady and bullying behind closed doors, making deals with hardware manufacturers not to use other chips. And it really, I go into it more in depth on my episode 14 of my Applecast. I just wanted to let you know that the 800-pound gorilla is up to it again. And I know a lot of my friends like Intel, and they do got some of the best chips and fastest chips on the market, but I just don't care for their business practices, their bullying practices, and their shady dealings that they do behind closed doors. I think they're a scandalous company, and I think they're dangerous. I really do. I think they'll do whatever they have to do to keep a hold of their spot in the market, whether it means cheat, steal, or lie. And that's what scares me. Now this one is great. Lala will continue to power Google's music search after Apple buyout. Oh, psst. Owned. Apple just owned Google. When Apple purchased streaming music service Lala a couple weeks ago, the most plausible use for such an acquisition, the addition of streaming functionality to iTunes. It promptly caused people's butts to scuttle in anticipation of iTunes in the cloud. Still, the buy was problematic, considering that it has been rumored that Apple was buying Lala to kill it, and that it was a purchase made just to thwart Google, which is what I think. Some wondered if Apple, in a worst-case scenario, intended to shutter the entire site, or, in a slightly better-case scenario, would simply shut Google out of Lala, an action that would promptly kill Google's music search, which is powered by Lala. Luckily, it looks like Apple has no plans to shut Google out of Lala. Quote, "We have enjoyed a good relationship with Apple for many years, and that continues to be the case," R.J. Pittman, Google Director of Product Management, told Business Week. Quote, "We are agreeing to continue to leave the service as it is. Even so, this has to be a lesson to Google. Make sure you own the companies and technology that power your search methods. With Apple now in control of Lala and consequently Google Music, Google can't be resting easy." Booyah! Google gets owned. Google swoops in and buys up AdMob from Apple. AdMob is the network that advertises on the iPhone, and Apple wanted that, and I can understand why. And Google swoops in and buys it because their main business is ad revenue, and they're wanting to advertise on every damn platform on the planet, so they swoop in and buy AdMob. So what's Apple do? They swoop in and buy Google Music. Oh, now Apple controls Google's music. So they didn't do it for the engineers. They didn't do it to integrate it into iTunes. They did it to burn Google. That's what I think. At least that's the scenario that makes me feel the happiest. Google owned again. Yelp walks away from Google deal and $500 million. Jerry Stoppelman, the CEO of Yelp, has walked away from an all but signed deal to be acquired by Google for more than $500 million. The deal was, as we wrote late last week, in the later stages of negotiation. The two companies had agreed on a price around $550 million plus earnouts. That's $550 million plus earnouts, and were working through the final details of acquisition. Then something happened that made Yelp reconsider the deal. Over the weekend, they notified Google that they were not going to sell. So why not? What made the deal go sideways? It says they're working on it. They're working to figure that out. From the information they've gathered, there's currently no other suitor seriously looking at the company. For now, Yelp intends to stay independent. They intend to stay independent. We're betting that someone, Apple, came to Yelp with an offer for a strategic deal that gave Stoppelman the confidence to say no to Google. But who that partner and what they offered isn't something we've been able to track down. It isn't Microsoft. If somebody give the CEO of Yelp the confidence to say no to Google, and the confidence and backing to make them feel secure enough to walk away from $550 million, somebody's had to have been pretty charismatic to convince them of that. And if I had Steve Jobs trying to convince me of something, hey, maybe I would listen to him. If I had him telling me, hey, Apple's got your back, hell's far, I might have the guts to turn down Google too. I have a feeling Microsoft had nothing to do with this. So Google gets owned again, and not only is Apple taking outright steps to thwart Google, it looks like they're taking, alleyway steps to thwart Google too. So that's just a great story. Verizon defends $350 early termination fee to the FCC. That's bullcrap. They're charging $350. They upped it from $175. They're saying these things are advanced. The droids are advanced devices, so they have to charge more. Then why isn't the iPhone considered an advanced device then? Is that what's going to happen when the iPhone goes to Verizon? Am I going to have a $350 termination fee on the iPhone when I sign up? Verizon, nothing but crooks. They squeeze every single penny out of the customer that they possibly can get. And if the iPhone goes to Verizon, that's fine for the people who want it. But for me, I'll never use Verizon service. They're nothing but a bunch of nickel and diamond crooks. Like the rest of them, but they're worse than most of them. Will Microsoft and Apple team up to fight Google? Now, what do you think about that? If that was to happen, I'm sorry, I don't think Google would have much of a chance. Googles are noobs. Google is a noob. Compared to the acquired knowledge between Apple and Microsoft, the two entities that created the technology business, just about personal computer technology business, Google is a noob compared to that. And when it comes down to it, Google doesn't have anything compared to that. And now that Bing has its own app on the iPhone, and I just think it's great that they're kind of working together to thwart Google, because Apple can put Microsoft in a good direction if they would just listen. So what kills me about Google is their emblem. Their emblem is like 3 colors: green, yellow, red, and blue. 4 colors. It's the same color as the Microsoft flag. It's just the Microsoft flag balled into a ball. I mean, it's awful. Okay, anyways, these are the top stories that I wanted to talk about. The top stories that we should keep an eye on the next few days to see what's going to turn out with them. And I've got a tutorial coming up to post on my Appleshakeguru channel, and I'll be posting my podcasts and updating my website tonight or tomorrow. So be looking for that. And I'm also going to be doing an application folder video and maybe a couple more videos. So be looking for those. Thanks for watching. OS 10.